Hi everybody, and welcome back to Daniellability. Today I'm interviewing my friend Kaycee, who recently graduated from the Kent State fashion program. And this past spring I had the opportunity to be one of the models in her senior show where she highlighted the line that she created that was a formal line of dresses for women in wheelchairs. And I wanted to share this interview with you guys because I think it's really important to talk about adaptive fashion and why it's important and why it's needed. Kaycee was recently featured on the Today Show, which is super exciting. And so I'm gonna put a link to that video in the description below. So if you missed it, be sure to check it out. And I'm gonna go ahead and get started with today's video.
My name is Kaycee Marshall. I am a senior fashion design student. Fashion has always kind of been my thing. Even as an elementary schooler, I had sketchbooks and crayon of my designs. So it's always been kind of a way to express myself. I have sacroiligenesis. Okay. So that means my spine stopped before it was fully developed. So my spine actually stops in between T11 and T12, and I'm missing everything below that. So everything below T11 is underdeveloped. So I've used a chair my whole life.
What are some of the things you've learned over the past 4 years, like how to adapt and some of the obstacles you face being in fashion as someone with a disability?
Starting out freshman year, my chair didn't have the power lift, so it wasn't able to go up and down to adjust height. So we actually ended up taking the dress form and mounting it into a trash can.
Oh my gosh.
To be able to get it. But honestly, it didn't work out as well, just because I was really interested in evening wear, so all of my dresses were super long.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't able to get the height with the lower dress form. So when I got my new power chair and it was able to go up and down, I was able to reach to the dress forms better and get to the studio height tables.
Do you have a special sewing machine, or how is it different and how have you adapted it over the years?
So I use a home sewing machine. I started out, I would do one hand on the pedal and then one hand to guide the fabric. But as I started getting into more complicated things, it was really hard to guide the fabric with one hand. So I ended up putting the pedal in between my knees, and then I guide the fabric with both hands.
Okay, so you have enough movement in your legs to be able to
Yes.
use the pedal with your legs. Buying the fabric in bolts and then turning it into a dress. What's kind of the process of doing that, and what's your favorite part of that process?
My favorite part is definitely the research and the inspiration. And then I start sampling.
Okay.
So we'll start draping and kind of patterning and starting kind of trying out your ideas. So some of the sampling that I did was one of the dresses had the gear shift cut.
Yeah.
So I tried that in a little sample, just kind of to see how that would look. And the next step would be the second round. It's muslins, so we do kind of the mock-up of it, and so it's kind of cheap fabric, trying it out and working out the kinks in your design.
And you went to New York to get the fabric too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what was that trip like?
It was so much fun. So I actually, I studied in New York the past spring.
Okay.
So it was kind of fun getting to go back and seeing my friends that are still there, and yeah, it was really fun being able to shop for fabrics. We got to go to Mood.
Awesome.
So if you've watched Project Runway, that's where they usually shop for fabrics.
You said it was your junior year that you started conceptualizing for your senior show.
Yes. I started kind of looking into steampunk and even metalwork and detailing.
Can you explain what steampunk is for people who may not be super into fashion?
Steampunk is a subgenre of science fiction. So it focuses on the 19th century steam-powered machinery.
Okay.
And so it's all about like the metalwork and how machines run.
Explain how that got you inspired to do clothes for people with disabilities and do like adaptive fashion.
So I actually started with the book The Little Engine That Could.
Okay.
So that was something that my mom always read to me as a kid. And so, you know, the little engine at first thought the task was impossible, but like through encouragement and positive thinking, he overcome it and was able to do it. So I started with that, and I kind of started thinking about disability rights and kind of how far we've come with that. And so my whole thing was how we can do anything we set our minds to. And so just like the little engine who persevered through a task that at first seemed impossible. I think representation like definitely matters. We're still very underrepresented in the fashion industry. You know, we would flip through magazines, and how often do you see a woman with a disability in them? So it's starting to happen slowly now, but I would like to see it all the time. I'd like to be able to open up Vogue and see that. I think, you know, the feeling like being able to see yourself represented, I think it just like adds value and like makes you feel heard.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely something that I want to do. Wherever I go in my career, is I really just want to be able to feature models with disabilities, because I definitely think we deserve a spot in the fashion industry.
What are some of the features that you had to think about as you were designing clothes, like some of the differences that you did compared to how you would typically design a dress or whatever?
So, I mean, I had some first-hand experience, at least with this collection. So some of the things I started to think about was, at least with me, when I was dress shopping for my prom dress, I have 90-degree scoliosis, and so I was getting upsized. I'm usually like a size 2, size small, and they were handing me size 18 dresses to be able to fit over my spine, and so it would fit there and then nowhere else. So it was problem solving how to get these dresses to fit women with different body types. So one of the things I incorporated was a lot of knitwear, because it does work with everyone's body, and it's comfortable. One of the other things is, even whenever I used woven materials, I would do a section of knit in the back, so it would have that give, so it would be able to go over someone's spine if they needed to. Some of the dresses I added extra closures, so people with limb differences, they're able to use the side that's easier for them, but also I catheterize, and some people have ports on one side of the body, so they don't have to completely get undressed in the stall to be able to do that. They're able to open the side that they need and use it. And then I used Velcro on some of the dresses. It's easier just to be able to undo the Velcro. One of the dresses is woven in the front, and it has the knit panel, but also all of the cascades on the dress is only in the front.
Okay.
So that way you're not sitting on the bulk of all that material. It's not comfortable.
Yeah, and you don't see it anyways.
Yeah, so it's able to give you the big fun full dress where you're not sitting on a bunch of bulky fabric.
Yeah, I've definitely had dresses like that in the past where I wanted like the big, you know, ball gown or whatever, but then I'm just sitting on a bunch of fabric.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to have a dress where you get the look, but you don't have to deal with all that extra fabric.
Right.
And what has it been like to see this line that you started visualizing your junior year, like, come to life and be on models and be ready to be in a show?
It's been amazing and stressful, and definitely been a process, and it's really fun to be able to see things start to finish.
your goal to do fashion specifically for people with disabilities, or do you kind of want to do the whole range, like people with disabilities, people without?
I think I want to do the whole range, but I definitely, no matter what I do, I want to be able to feature like a diverse group of models.
If you could have like your dream job, what would that be?
Eventually I want my own line.
Okay.
So I definitely could see myself having an inclusive collection. Again, I definitely just want to put people with disabilities on the forefront of fashion.
Thanks for talking to us today and answering all my questions and giving us a little insight into what it's like to be in the fashion industry as someone with a disability and just in general. It's really interesting. So
Thanks for having me.
yeah.
That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.